Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. I have an interesting one today, right? And there's a huge amount of questions you can ask yourself to help get out of PMO and help transform this habit. I'm going to speak about all those questions. There's going to be sometimes videos on single questions like this video. And I'm hopefully even going to I was thinking about releasing even an ebook or a guide of all the questions you can start journaling, maybe like one a day, one a week. So I'm looking to maybe launch that ebook in the next like few weeks or next couple months. But today I want to discuss a single question. And in my experience, I didn't only learn this question or the importance and power of this question from PMO alone. I actually learned it before from the habit of vape. I used to vape. I was never a cigarette smoker, but I did get hooked and I did get very, very attached to vape. I learned a lot about that habit and a lot about habit theory around smoking vape that I then actually applied to all my other habits, including PMO. And so, a bit of a side note, you can actually study all your habits. Habit theory is very similar, right? So, if you are struggling with many habits, you can learn from all of them and apply those learnings to most of the other ones. That's just a side note. So back to the story. So I learned some very powerful ideas from this one question from vape, and then I applied it to PMO and made such a difference. I remember vaping one day and I was trying to stop. I was really struggling, super addicted, and I started to have this inclination that I wanted to give it up. And for weeks, I was counting the days and forcing myself to stop and avoiding people who vaped. All my friends who vaped, I was staying away from them. And one day it hit me. This question hit me, right? And the question hit me by I realized I was asking a question, but the wrong question. I was always asking, how do I stop vape? Right? I was like, I don't want to vape. I don't want to do this. How do I stop? You might be asking that, right? How do I stop PMO? How do I remove it? How do I stop having cravings? How do I stop thinking about it all the time? How do I lower my libido? How do I get rid of it, right? Still a useful question, so I'm not discrediting that, but the most important question you can ask around PMO, write this question down. And my challenge to you, my urge to you is to start spending time each week thinking about this, really getting a journal, thinking about this question. It is probably the most important question you will ask to make the most shifts initially out of PMO, right? It's huge. It's an insane question. The question is not, how do I get rid of PMO? The question is, why am I going to PMO in the first place, right? Why do I feel the need to do this? And a similar question, which is kind of the same vibe, which you can maybe ask, is what am I running away from and escaping from to go to PMO, right? Because it's not always PMO that you directly want to do. It's not like you actively tried to find it. And a lot of the time, you're not actually doing it because you want it. It's because you're trying to get away from something, right? You're trying to escape from something. So the question here is, why am I going to porn in the first place? What am I escaping? What am I running away from? What am I avoiding? What is so uncomfortable that I keep going to this? That's more important, right? Because there's a root solution. There's a reason you started doing this, right? And if you can figure out what you're avoiding and why you keep moving and what you're moving away from, you will make massive shifts, because now you can actually solve the problem, not at the PMO level, but at the other side of it, right? Figuring out the root solution, the actual cause of which engagement with porn and masturbation all the time is a symptom, right? So, this is part of addiction theory. This is like the main idea with addiction, where people are not, they never actively tried to seek that thing because of these qualities. It's something they were running away from. So while everyone is trying to solve addiction at the symptom level, you actually need to solve it at the cause, the root of where the fire started, right? So write this question down. Really think about it. Really start to notice, when do I suddenly want to engage with PMO? Maybe it's when you're bored. Maybe it's when you have to have an uncomfortable conversation. Maybe it's every time the emotion of fear comes up, right? You're starting to wonder, why does this keep popping up? What keeps happening such that it triggers me to run to something like PMO? So don't underestimate how important this is. This is one question, but this one question can make sometimes the most difference. And like I said, I learned it from vape. That was the question that got me to stop smoking vape, right? Not immediately, just it pointed me to the right stuff. It pointed me to what actually was causing the problem that made me then vape, right? I then applied it to PMO. Huge difference. I realized exactly what I was running away from. I realized exactly what the problem was internally and in my life that made me engage, from asking the question, why do I go to it in the first place? What am I running away from? What am I avoiding? What am I escaping? What makes me feel uncomfortable such that I engage with it, right? So it seems simple, but ask this question. And like I said, I'll be speaking about a lot more questions. There's so many incredible questions that will give you the answers you're looking for. And like I said in a different video, questions create answers. Answers creates understanding. So take this question, spend time with it, and see what happens. See you guys in the next video.